I got to tell you, it brought back some memories. You know, so I don't mind going back and talking about those crazy '90s.
Yeah, well, they were crazy, man. The 90s were definitely crazy. So, like I said, it's been nearly 30 years since Are You Afraid of the Dark now started. I guess let's talk about how you originally got the role of Gary. How did that come about?
Well, I was living in Montreal at the time, Montreal, Canada. I live in Toronto now. And I had done a lot of acting in high school. I did a lot of theater, and I had done some commercials. And my agent told me I had this audition for this new TV show, this pilot for a show that was going to be coming to Montreal. And it was an American show, Nickelodeon. And so I was pretty excited and auditioned. And DJ, I believe, was in the first audition, I think. It was a long time ago. You got to forgive me. But yeah, and I got the role, and that was the pilot episode. So we didn't know what was going to happen with it, but it was a great experience. Got to work with DJ and Ned Kendall, and I don't think we heard back. Probably it was like a year and a half after we shot that episode that we actually heard the show was picked up. And the interesting thing too is my character, the character I actually played in the pilot episode was David, not Gary. So I ended up getting the Gary character when the show was actually picked up and we shot the first season.
That's cool, man. That's cool. And what was it like being the leader of the Midnight Society? I mean, that must have been a fun task being the leader of the group.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think it was basically a meritocracy based on how scared you can get people or how scary you can be. It was cool. I mean, you know, I think that I was one of the older actors in that cast. Believe it or not, Rain, Perry Cool, who played Betty Ann, was actually older than me, but she looked younger than all of us. Yeah, and they had to put a lot of, you know, beard cover on me because I was actually 18 when we started shooting the show. So I was playing someone who was younger. And it was great. You know, it was great to work with all the different characters that came, like all the different cast members that we had over the years. And, you know, when you're sitting around a campfire, a fake campfire, and we'll get into the details, but in a studio with a bunch of, you know, real trees, but a fake forest, you get to know a lot about people. And so it was a great experience. And it was one of my first big roles on a major television show. So I was very excited. And I couldn't be happier that someone like DJ was involved at the onset, because he made us all feel very comfortable. And he directed a lot of the first campfire segments. And it was great to work with him, and great experience.
That's cool, man. That's wild. I heard that I mean, this is what I read in the first season, that after season 1, you had to take the lenses out of your glasses because it was causing reflections for the studio lights. Was that true?
That is true. That is true. You've done your research, Mike. Yeah, I think, you know, they wanted Gary to have glasses. They wanted him to look, have this kind of serious demeanor to him. And so, yeah, so the first, I guess, I don't know how many episodes it was exactly, but oftentimes when we did the close-up shots, they would bring in these sort of, I think they call them pepper lights. They're these lights that flash a little bit or kind of accentuate. And because they were a little closer, they were close to me, you could actually see them, you know, they would try to recreate the fire a little bit with these lights, and you could actually see the lights, and it didn't look like a fire. So they decided to take the lenses out. And for me, it didn't matter because I still don't need glasses this many years later. So I didn't actually need glasses in real life. So it worked for me. The only thing that wasn't great about that is Daniel DeSanto, who plays Tucker on the show. We had a thing of throwing twigs at each other and that kind of thing. So I often had protection when it was, you know, when I actually had glasses in terms of my eyes, but that protection was gone when they took the lenses out. So.
That's great, man. I love it. And tell us, what was the dust that was used to introduce the series?
That was actually non-dairy creamer. So it was Coffee Mate. the actual burst of the fire was an effect, but I think they tried out a few different uh, ingredients in terms of what to throw on the fire. And the coffee mate, or this non-dairy creamer, had a little bit of an additional effect when you threw it over. I don't know if it was the oils in there or what exactly it was, but it had an additional kind of boom to the fire. So that's why they chose it.
That's fun. And do you have any fun kind of behind the scenes stories you could share from us?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, it just sometimes we would shoot overnights as well. Like we never shot outside. We always shot in the studio. But sometimes just the production schedule, if they had to shoot days, then they would put us on nights sometimes, or it all kind of. So you get to know your cast members, and actually the forest. The way they set it up is they brought in hundreds of trees into the studio and the earth and all of that, and you could actually get lost in this studio forest. So we kind of play tricks on each other, scare each other sometimes. When you're walking towards the center of the campfire, again, especially Daniel DeSanto, he would try to do that stuff, and I would try to get him back. And really really great memories of just just hanging out and trying to scare each other in real life when we were trying to scare each other with the script as well.
Sure. That's cool, man. And so why didn't you return for the revival in season 6? What was the
Yeah, that's a good question. I never I don't really know. I didn't really expect it. When we ended at 65 episodes, and at that time that was considered syndication, so there was no expectation of really going any more. And it was also the fact that I was at the time we ended, I think I was close to 20 at that point as well, so I didn't really think that my run at playing I don't know how old Gary was supposed to be, 15, or that was ending too, so I had no expectations. But because Daniel was younger, they brought him in to sort of have that continuity, which was great. But when they did ask me to come back, for that special, that was a great experience. I was really happy about that.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because in season 7 you came back for the 3-part series, The Tale of the Silver Sight, right?
That's right.
So,
yeah.
What was it like getting to be a part of the story instead of just telling it for this?
Oh, that was amazing. I mean, I think there's one scene in, I think it's Super Specs, I believe, where Gary in the original, the first 65, one of the first seasons, he actually is in the magic shop.
Right.
And he's right. So that was the only time I think that one of the Campfire Kids was actually in a part of an episode. So I was happy to do that. And then when when I saw the script for this new episode, and it was a 3-part series, and I believe it was a 3-part series, was it not? Yes, okay.
Yeah.
And sort of the arc of it all, and how Gary's involved with his grandmother and grandfather, it was great. So it was good to meet the new cast as well. Got to meet Alicia Cuthbert at that point, and just hang out with them and see what their experiences had been like up to that point, because we have that common thing of being Campfire Kids. So it was fun. I think the episode actually turned out really well, and I think it was cool to see a different side of Gary, different side of Tucker, and all the other Campfire Kids that were involved. I was kind of jealous though when I got to the new Campfire that they actually had a couch.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's up with
that? We didn't have a couch. It was just stumps and rocks. But hey, progress. So.
That's great, man. I love it. So then, what are your feelings on the 2019 reboot for the series?
Well, I think it was really well done. I think it looked great. I think they kind of followed in that same direction with getting the Campfire Kids to be involved in the actual story, which was really good. And I actually got to meet the cast because I work for Global, which also has ET Canada.
Okay.
So the network I work for. And so I got to actually go out to Vancouver and while they were shooting the show and interview the cast for ET Canada. So I got to go on the set
Cool as
and
that.
got to meet them. And yeah, great young actors, all really, really, chill, down to earth, and excited too. It was kind of in a way, a little surreal because you see these kids and they're doing the same thing that you were doing in a sense, but then it's obviously it's changed this many years later. There are smartphones and all these things that we didn't have in the 90s, but it was great to connect with them and ask them about their experiences doing the show. At that point, they were sort of midway through shooting the show when I met them.
That's
I
good.
think I think it looked really well. It looked really good.
That's fun that you got to do that. That's really cool. And then, what triggered your interest into meteorology and to become a meteorologist? How did that come about for you?
Well, I always had a passion for broadcasting growing up. I would always, follow my family around with video camera, which was like that big back when I was doing
Remember?
it.
Remember?
Yeah, it was something I always had a passion for and was interested in. But acting, took off for me when I started doing Are You Afraid of the Dark. Then I did a couple of other series that shot here in Canada, and really I got to travel the world with acting. When I hit my mid-20s, I had most of my friends had gone through university or college, as you guys call it.
Yeah.
And I decided to do a communications journalism program at a school in Toronto called Ryerson. And that kind of opened my eyes up to some other opportunities that I could try to tackle. I still auditioned for things, for certain projects. When I was in school, I actually, was able to work and do that kind of thing. But I've been doing it for so long, I wanted to be introduced to something new. And I didn't expect it to become my full-time job and my career at that point. But thankfully it has, and I enjoy doing it.
That's awesome, man. And what does it mean by your title? I saw you're considered like a multi-market meteorologist. Tell me what that means.
It doesn't mean necessarily multi-talented, but but no. What we do at Global is we have production centers that deal with different markets. So I not only do the city that I live in, Toronto, but I do other cities. I forecast for various other cities across the country. So that's why we call it a multi-market content. So great for me. I mean, I have lived in different cities across the country, so I know these cities, but always challenging, as depending on where you are in the US, depending on where you are in Canada, the weather can definitely vary. So it's been a challenge, but also a lot of fun.
Cool. That's awesome, man. What would you say for you is the most challenging aspect of being a meteorologist?
Well, that is also a good question. Maybe finding all various answers to what's the weather like today, or a response to don't you have one of the only jobs that you can be wrong 60% of the time and you still have a job. So trying to find fresh responses to that. But on a more serious note, I think that because I went to school for it, so I love the science of it, and we know all these technical aspects to what drives a forecast or what drives weather. And it's always that balance. I think people like the science, but they don't like you to overdo it. So always trying to find that happy medium of being able to explain a weather situation that people are going to kind of understand, and it won't kind of go right over their head, but also make it, it in a way is telling a story, just like, Gary did around the campfire. I mean, every story, every weather situation does have a particular story. So that's how I try to treat it, beginning, middle, and an end. And it's you're constantly working on that craft, and still doing it today.
And I was going to ask if you ever miss acting in TV or films, but
Yeah, well,
I guess being in front of the the camera, you're still in front of the camera, obviously.
yeah, and I still get to do some different things. Like I get to produce some projects at Global. Just finished producing a project called Top Dog. We
That's
have
cool.
a lot of dog talent at our station. A lot of people have dogs, so we decided to put our dogs to the test in a sort of agility championship. We did a pageant, so I produced that.
That's
I still get to do some other things, and actually, if Global allows me, I am able to do a couple of acting things here and there. So it's not like I've completely withdrawn from it, but obviously my full-time job at Global is my priority. But if I can fit some other things in, I'm able to do that.
that's fun, Ross. That's really cool, man. All right, well, that's all the questions I do have, though. I appreciate you taking out some time. And
Yeah.
yeah, man, I appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. Great chatting with you, and hi
Well,
to all the Are You Afraid of the Dark fans out there.